Okay, we are here at the International Trade Fair in Ndola, where we are visiting some stands just to get to understand what they are showcasing, what they have to offer to the general public. And my name is Matthew Dandula. We're right here at the stand of Napsa, the pensioners themselves. We want to hear, the public needs to know what is it that they are offering at this year's International Trade Fair here in Ndola. And joining me is Mr. Kalaba Mwimba, who is the extension of coverage to the informal sector at Napsa, just to get to understand what this means. Sir, welcome to this interview.
Thank you very much, and very warm welcome to the Napsa Pavilion.
Thank you. Tell us about the extension of coverage for the informal sector.
Yes, so this extension of coverage to the informal sector is an initiative of Napsa that actually ties in very well with this year's theme at this year's trade fair of promoting promoting value addition for sustainable economic growth. Because what we are saying is that you cannot have sustainable economic growth if it's not inclusive. And therefore, Napsa, as an institution mandated to provide social security, we've embarked on this journey of ensuring that not only the formally employed workers are covered for social security, but also extended coverage to the self-employed informal economy workers in this country. This again is in response to the statistics, the way they sit in our country, where the informal sector workers account for about 70% of the total employed persons in this country. So you realize that we are dealing with a huge cohort of workers in this country who, by and large, do not have sustainable social security and therefore are vulnerable to the ills of old age poverty and vulnerability that comes with not having access to social security.
Let's look at the target that you have and the benefits that comes out of this coverage, extension coverage.
Yes, so as we look at the informal economy in totality, we do have 5 priority sectors, which is the domestic workers, the bus and taxi drivers, the sawmillers, the marketeers and traders, including those small-scale farmers, who again are the majority of workers in this country that basically depend on agriculture for their livelihoods. So it's basically in response and ensuring that these priority sectors are covered in terms of social security. Additionally, as we extend social security coverage to the self-employed informal economy workers, Napsa has actually designed a unique benefit package that responds to the needs and aspirations of the self-employed workers. And these benefits are composed of the retirement benefit, the invalidity benefit in case of one being incapacitated or terminally ill, as well as survivor's benefit. Included to these 3 principal benefits is maternity benefit for the female contributing members, basically meant to ensure that when a female contributing member goes on maternity, obviously they won't be able to go to the market and sell their produce. So during that period, Napsa will come in and pay a maternity grant to ensure that that particular marketeer at least is able to fend for themselves during that period. Additionally, we've included what we're calling family funeral grant, okay, and this covers the principal member, the spouse, up to 6 children and dependents. To this benefit package, the other additions is the weather index insurance, basically meant to respond, to the climatic change effects in our country, where a farmer, in case of a drought or excessive rainfall, lose their crop. This weather index insurance will facilitate for some level of compensation to that farmer. And lastly but not the least, we've also incorporated access to credit. And this basically is micro loans which we are advancing to members of this self-employed informal economy scheme. And these microcredits are being offered at affordable rates. This we are doing in partnership with the Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. basically meant to help small businesses have access to credit that then they invest in their small businesses and improve their productivity. All in all, what we are targeting is a society which is inclusive, hence our resolve to ensure that the self-employed workers also have access to sustainable social security in this country.
Thank you so much for sharing with us that important information.
Thank you very much, and as we conclude, just have two calls to action. The first one being that all employers of domestic workers, we wish to encourage them that they come forth to Napsa and actually register their domestic workers. For the self-employed, the bus drivers, the marketeers, the small-scale farmers, we wish to encourage them to also come forth and register, then start making contributions for their future, and then be able to as well have access to these lucrative benefits that I've just alluded to.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
So, Mrs. Shonya, tell us when you started getting pension.
I started getting my pension 11 years ago. That is why when I turned my 55 years old, and I've been a very happy pensioner, having served with Napsa. Yes.
How has it helped you?
It has helped me a great deal because in that money which I get on monthly basis, I'm able to look after myself through getting my basic needs, and I have educated my two children who have now completed school and they are now working.
Given a chance to choose, would you want to be given a lump sum or a monthly payment of pension?
I'm happy that I chose to be getting on monthly basis, because if I had gotten a lump sum at that time, I would have squandered it and it wouldn't have helped me in any way. So I would encourage all those who are paying Napsa at the moment to, when the time comes, to go for the monthly one, because the lump sum, it's not good for them. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
Right. We are still visiting some stands here at the International Trade Fair in Ndola, and we are still at a Napsa stand just to get to understand what they are showcasing at this year's International Trade Fair. Joining me now is Corporate Affairs Manager, Mr. Kefas Nyangwe, to give us what they are offering at this year's International Trade Fair. Sir, welcome to this interview.
Thank you, Matthews, and hello, viewers.
Tell us what you are showcasing at this year's International Trade Fair.
Well, this year's trade fair, by the way, has come handy after a few years of absence, and so for us it's a very good opportunity to provide those services that we're offering to the members of the public. As you may be aware, for us, whenever we have an opportunity of this nature, it's an opportunity to provide all the services that the public would ordinarily get at any Napsa office. So someone who wants to submit their benefits claim, be it retirement or survivors or any other claim that they may have, they can do that here. If they want to update their details or just to check the status, we have had a lot of people wanting to just know how much money am I having sitting with Napsa. As much as we have developed platforms, mobile and online platforms, to be able to give people an opportunity to check that on their own, but there are those who are coming through. They are able to do that as well. So it's a full-fledged office, first of all. But in addition to that, we know that this is an opportunity for us to educate the public on what this institution is about and what we are doing. It's very, very important that people understand.
When we talk about educating the masses on what you are doing, give us the overview or the overflow of Napsa's mandate.
Well, when you talk about Napsa's mandate, we are talking about a very important aspect of our lives. I must start by saying that the government has a way of looking after its people, and it creates vehicles through which it delivers services to the people. Napsa is one such vehicle that has been created to provide social security, sustainable social security. And when I talk about sustainable social security, we are talking about social security that comes in handy to provide income replacement for life. When a member retires, in case of invalidity, in case of the breadwinner passing on, we come in to look after the family. And also these benefits, I must mention, that they are inclusive in that we are bringing in even friends and colleagues and members from the informal sector. By the way, they form the biggest size of the working population, of about 80%. So we are doing this to make sure that this human rights, social security, is provided to all who deserve it. That's our mandate. But in doing this, we have a few key activities that we undertake to realize that mandate of paying benefits. One, we have to register these members and register them and collect contributions. Now, the collection of contributions is an important exercise because it now, at that point, we begin to add value to people's money, to people's lives. When we've invested, when we have collected these contributions, we invest them in various sectors of the economy, where members are able to derive sometimes immediate benefit, but ultimately these investments are meant to guarantee that benefit, that pension benefit, that retirement benefit, or survivor's benefit, or invalidity benefit that the institution has promised to the member. So that's why this investment activity is very important, and my colleague will be speaking to more in detail about that, because we're talking about investment in the financial markets, in the listed equities. We're talking about investing in infrastructure, housing, real estate, and manufacturing, renewable energy, and all those things. And all these are done so that we create value and be able to pay a benefit to a member when it falls due.
Coming to this year's theme, how do you interpret it as Napsa?
So what I have actually explained is a summary of how we are interpreting this year's theme. So we begin by pooling resources together from the members of the informal sector and the formal sector at large. When we pool these resources in one pot, we add value to those individual contributions, which in any case, if you just look at them individually, would have very little value, but we give them these contributions value by pulling them together. An example is that, for example, last year we collected 5.1 billion from members from both the formal and informal sector. Now, that is the power of numbers. That money can only be that big because we have put everybody together. And that money is then taken and given extra value through our various investment projects that I spoke to, and which my colleague will also speak about. So through that, we add value to the money. We add value to the economy. We add value to our members' lives because they are benefiting, they derive immediate benefits from some of these projects. And then we are adding value to that contribution in terms of how much ultimately they take out as a pension benefit, because they do not just take in what they put in, but that money is given extra value such that a member, when they begin to collect that money, either through monthly pensions, or if they don't qualify, a one-off lump sum, that money is given extra value, protected from inflation and from the other forces, economic forces, because that money is guaranteed to the member. And that's why we have to work very hard through our investments to make sure that we protect that value of the money and give it extra value that the member needs.
Let's look at your members. What are some of the immediate benefits that they get from Napsa? If you can highlight at least some of them.
So indeed, from the investment activities that we undertake as Napsa, even before we pay the ultimate benefit that we are created to pay, I'll give you an example of how members benefit from our our participation in the financial markets. By us making the funds available on the market, our members sometimes unknowingly are able even to get a loan, pay for school fees. They're able to invest in a business, and they're able to do a lot more with whatever they want to do with this money. These are some of the immediate benefits that come from the investments that we are undertaking. When it comes to projects like infrastructure projects that we are undertaking, look at the Kafue Gorge Lower Power Station. we have gone through serious load shedding. It was our members who were suffering. Now there's reduced load shedding because Napsa, your institution, has invested in extra power generation capacity. This is an immediate and direct benefit that comes to the home of a member who is contributing. When you talk about, for example, manufacturing, members used to get towers from out of the country if they wanted to build anything. Today, very affordable towers are locally available. These institutions that we are investing in are creating jobs, upskilling people. There's a lot of skills transfer. And there's an immediate value that our member is able to driving on a well-paved road because Napsa has facilitated for that construction of the road. And so a lot more benefits can be actually derived from these investments that we're undertaking.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. We are still at Napsa stand here at the International Trade Fair in Ndola, and joining me now is Mr. Kaumbi, also one of the officers here at Napsa, just to share with us what they are offering and all that. Sir, welcome to this interview and share with us what you are showcasing at this year's International Trade Fair.
Thank you very much. Napsa manages a well-diversified investments portfolio that actually is in sync with this year's Zambia Trade Fair theme, promoting value addition for sustainable growth. Napsa actually is one of the largest players on the money market and the capital market. Napsa facilitates liquidity through fixed-term deposits to the commercial banks. Other than that, Napsa actually actively participates on the government securities auctioned by the Bank of Zambia, the central bank, the treasury bills, and the government bonds. In addition, Napsa is actually one of the largest players on the capital market in the sense that it has invested in 16 out of 23 listed companies. These listed companies actually are in the multiple sectors, such as manufacturing, such as agro-processing, such as hospitality, and other sectors. In addition to that, Napsa actually has invested in the other asset classes, such as the infrastructure. My colleague spoke about the road, which we financed. It has also invested in non-listed equity. We acquired 16% in Marco Polo Towers, a company that actually manufactures porcelain towers using the local raw materials. It has invested in the energy sector, where we invested in Kafue Gorge lower hydropower station, where we are assured of consistent supply of power and other benefits that come out of there. In a nutshell, Napsa actually has provided liquidity over 65% in quarter one through the money market and the capital market, which this liquidity actually goes in various multiple sectors of the economy. It's accessed by the corporates, by the SMEs, even by individuals like you and me who are able to go to the bank and obtain a loan. So Napsa actually plays a key role in the investments that it does. These investments actually they drive and they support and they contribute towards the economic growth.
Thank you so much.
So talking about how the income that we collect from the members that is invested in the various projects that I spoke about, this is how that translates to the members' benefits and how value is added to the members' benefits. This is a very interesting example of this member who actually started getting his pension in 2015. And in the past 7 years, this member has been receiving their monthly pension. And to date, 7 years down the line, the member has collected 145,000 kwacha, having contributed both the employer and employee contributions, 45,000 kwacha. Now, the difference between this 45,000 kwacha and the 145,000 kwacha that the member has so far collected is the value that is added to the money through the various investment projects that the authority is undertaking. And by the way, this member is still receiving his pension. He may continue to receive it for the next 5, 10, 20 years. And so that for us to be able to sustainably provide that income, we have to prudently invest these funds in those asset classes and investment projects that we've spoken about.